My name is Ivana Latушинska. I represent the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America's Passaic, Bergen County chapter in New Jersey, and also the New Ukrainian Wave organization. Today, I have the honor to welcome in our midst a well-known journalist, the person who started the Historical Truth Media, a lecturer at the Ukrainian Catholic University, and historian Vakhtang Kipiani. Vakhtang, welcome to the Ukrainian Center in Passaic, and I would like to ask you what prompted the idea to make this documentary called Fear and Hope.
I think the main idea for this film was that the Ukrainian American viewer should experience this catastrophe that happened in the 1930s. But this catastrophe didn't just happen in Ukraine's farmlands and countryside, but in the heads of those living in the free world, in Washington and New York, who in that tragic period not only did nothing to help people survive and to have food, but in fact did everything that could be seen as a justification or approval of the criminals responsible. And so, in 1933, the United States gave diplomatic recognition to the Soviet Union, at a time that people were dying en masse. And so this film describes what it's like to be a Ukrainian at a time when the world knows that a tragedy is happening, but because of their own interests, perhaps geopolitical reasons, doesn't attempt to save them. And so this fear that embedded itself in many people at that time lingers on until now. And so we wanted to, in the film, to speak about this in a general context, but also the fear of distinct individuals who didn't want to before and continue not to talk about this terror during their childhood.
Please explain why this film is relevant today and who ought to be watching it.
Головна аудиторія цього фільму – люди, які, в принципі, щось знають про Голодомор. Але, звичайно, будь-який автор фільму, автор публікації хоче, щоб...
This film is for people who know something about the Holodomor, the forced famine. But of course, anyone making a documentary also wants people to learn something that they didn't know from the film. That's why we provided a certain context, that the deaths of these people were reported in the columns of the newspapers like the New York Times by well-known reporter Walter Duranty, and readers knew about them, that there was a famine and there were temporary problems. They knew there was a industrialization, but at the same time that Stalin was building a successful proletarian country. So, with the viewers aware of that background, we wanted them to listen to the accounts of people who are now 90 or 100 years old, who described how all food, all bread, even the flour for use as communion bread, was taken from them so that people were left with nothing, and they said they had to eat whatever they could find. That's something that's difficult for people who live in the free world to understand, but at the time, Ukrainians were left with no support. If in the 1920s the famine commanded the attention of the whole world, in the 1930s this was a tragedy visible to all, and so the main aim of this film is for people to remember that event and to ensure that it should never reoccur in the world.
Людей занурити в цю пам'ять, і щоб люди після фільму зрозуміли, що так ніколи не має повторитися. Оце головна мета.
Тобто головна мета... So the main aim is so that more people know about this event and learn more about it, and to avoid it ever being repeated in history.
Такого страху, такої трагедії в історії, так?
Якщо, а це, власне, показано було в Україні, якщо цей фільм подивляться люди, які...
If this film is seen by people in Ukraine who are not indifferent to their own history, the history of their relatives and country, then they should ask their own relatives about this. Ask them what was their experience, and there will be a lot of revelations. They will understand that an old lady who has kept a little bag of bread in her cupboard has been trying to compensate for the dreadful memories of that time, that she was a little child and starving. And thus, I think we are stimulating people to learn about the history of their country and that of their families.
Тому, відповідно, я думаю, що ми стимулюємо людей краще знати і історію країни, і історію власну.
Дякую. Скажіть, будь ласка, як можна подивитися?
How can people see this documentary?
Тим людям, які сьогодні не змогли побувати на показі, чи вони мають змогу побачити його в Ютубі, як можна переглянути цей фільм?
Цей фільм час від часу буде показуватись, особливо в листопаді кожного року, в дні оцих трагічних роковин Голодомору, на українських телеканалах, принаймні на двох, на каналі ЗІК і на каналі НЛО. Але для тих, хто живе поза Україною
This film will be shown on Ukrainian TV every year, particularly in the month of November, on the ghastly anniversary of the Holodomor. For those who don't live in Ukraine and don't want to wait until the following November, then it can be found on ZIK, Ukrainian National TV, YouTube.
Це один з багатьох проєктів історичної правди, який є викладений в інтернет. І якщо люди подивляться цей фільм, вони можуть подивитися і інші фільми, сюжети, передачі, які ми творимо. Їх вже більше 200. Тому думаю, що для тих, хто зацікавлений в історії, є багато цікавого матеріалу і є потреба тільки знайти вільний час для того, щоб в цей матеріал зануритись.
Дякую, Вахтанже, і хочу запросити всіх глядачів, які сьогодні на нас дивляться і слухають це інтерв'ю, подивитися фільм «Страх і надія», довідатися багато інформації саме про замовчування.
Thank you, Vakhtang, and I call upon everyone to watch this film and learn about the suppression of information, about the Holodomor, and the efforts make the facts known. The documentary was filmed in places in the United States, including our state of New Jersey, and nearby towns like Clifton. I wish you success with your future projects.
Робите. Спасибі вам і натхнення, і успіхів у подальших проектах.
Дякую дуже.
Дякую.